Welcome back to another lecture in your favorite course, Armology. How to absolutely supersize your pipe daddies. Okay? We've got a couple simple concepts on the board for today. It's not going to take too much of your time. Focus in, pay attention, take notes if you need to. Hold on tight. It's going to be a wild ride, and it'll be over before you know it. So, the first thing is intensity. Training intensity. That's what we're talking about here. Okay? Probably the most important parameter for your arm training. All right? What fucking exercise you're doing doesn't matter that much. Okay? Are you doing skull crushers? Are you doing cable pushdowns? Massively overstated. All right? How you perform the movement is what's important. Are you performing it with intensity? And what do I think based on my experience? Experimenting with all kinds of different training styles, different forms of intensity. Leave 3 in the tank, meaning you go 3 reps shy of hitting physical failure. Physical failure being you're doing a set of curls and gun to your head, you can't get another rep. Not, ooh, it kind of hurts, so I'm going to put the weight down and stop now. Okay, that's what most people think is failure. Literally, somebody's standing there with a pistol saying, you don't get another rep, motherfucker, I'm going to kill you. It's getting a little extreme, but that is physical failure if you couldn't get that rep. Okay, so it takes a lot of mental will to push yourself to that limit. And a lot of people never even go there. They never even touch it. But as you can see in our concept here, train insane or remain the same. If you don't train insane, you will remain the same as you currently are. Okay? So, generally, for arm growth, you need to push yourself to failure at least in some of your sets. In the beginning, you can get away with training hard by showing up consistently and pushing yourself a little bit. But if you want to make some serious gains and continue to see progress, you need to push yourself to that literal physical limit. All right, and it takes time to develop that approach. And this is important to touch on that if you're a beginner, I don't recommend training to literal physical failure right away because you need to get comfortable with the movements. Also, if you're doing a new exercise, you need to make sure that you're executing it with proper form. Because if you train all the way to failure, but you don't execute the movement with proper form, for example, if we're doing a curl, as I start to approach failure, the working muscle is the bicep. I want to take this muscle to failure. If I just start doing this and leaning back and swinging and stuff, I'm bringing in my lower back. I'm bringing momentum into the equation. I'm not putting all of that force into the bicep. So it's an approach you have to develop to execute the movement with proper form as best you can while pushing to your physical limit. And in the beginning, that can be hard to do, and it takes time to establish proper form. So if you're brand new, don't worry about this for a couple months. Get in there, train hard, get comfortable with the movements, make sure you feel that you can execute them with proper form under control, get acclimated, get a sense for how it should feel when you go to do the movements and engaging all of your stabilizing muscles. For example, again, the curl, I want my chest out, so I want a little tension in my upper back. I want my elbows to stay pinned at my sides. I don't want them moving around, okay? And to do that, there's going to be my back muscles working to keep my shoulder and my elbow in a stationary position, okay? And so there's a general feel that you're going to get from practice from doing that over time. So I recommend establishing that without going to max intensity. Now the next thing to touch on is warm-up sets. So if you go, again, to do your bicep curls, just using this example because it's simple, and I'm going to train to max intensity, train insane or remain the same. And I'm going to do barbell. I'm going to go for like 12 reps, all out. If I just show up to the gym, just rock up, not warmed up at all, and go for that, there's a couple of reasons that you're not going to get the best thing out of your workout. It's not going to be optimal for you. Number one is that your risk of injury is going to be much higher if you don't warm up the muscle first. Number two, you're not going to have a chance to focus on those cues and get everything locked into position. And I would say number three, you don't have a chance to kind of rev up your central nervous system, your mentality, so you can really attack that set. So I recommend doing at least 3 warm-up sets where you use a lighter weight. So for the bicep curls, maybe you just grab a 30-pounder. You just do 5-6 reps, focusing on your cues, making sure everything's feeling good. Take a little rest, go up to the 50, a few more reps. Take a little rest, go up to the 60, a few more reps. Let's say the 80 is going to be your working weight. Now you've primed yourself to avoid injury and be able to channel max intensity into that first working set. So those are a couple small little caveats that are in conjunction to this discussion here around intensity that are worth mentioning. Now, the reason that this is so important, I found this to be so important, is that it's difficult to get your body to add extra muscle. And most people that you see when you go into the gym, if they're consistent, they will make some progress and they will build some muscle and to a point, but then it all kind of starts to shut off. Your newbie gains are gone, meaning the amount of muscle, the muscle that you gain in the beginning when you're new to it. If that's going to be the gains will never be that plenderous as they are in the future. Those are the glory days where everything just comes easy. You just show up and you push yourself a little and you make progress. That does not happen after your newbie gains period ends, which is maybe about a 6-month to 12-month window, roughly, depending on your training, your genetics, who you are, whatever. All right. But once you get past that, in my experience, this is the main thing that's going to drive growth for you, and this is the main component that if it's missing, you're just not going to get anywhere. So if you don't go into the gym with the raw intensity to push yourself to the limit, at least in some of your sets, you're just not going to fucking grow. And that's the main thing that's holding most people back, in my opinion, from growing their arms. And it takes, I would say, a certain mentality to want to push yourself. It's going to be painful. It's going to hurt. And there are going to be certain days that you don't do it. But if you do force yourself to do it, you will also, I would say, develop an ability to push yourself to do other things outside the gym, because you're forcing yourself into the discomfort of maxing the intensity all the time when you don't want to, and you're pushing through all the signals and stops that your brain and your mind puts in your place. Say, hey, let's stop. This is uncomfortable. Hey, let's not do it. Hey, let's come up with reasons why not to. If you say, fuck that shit, and you blast through all of it regardless, in the long run, it will trickle over into other aspects of your life. So overall, the point that I want to make is that pushing yourself to literal physical failure is probably the most important key ingredient to growing your arms long term. And that's probably the main thing that most people are missing. Whenever I go into the gym, I look around. It's okay. If you're in there, you're just in there to move your body, exercise some, that's good. But if you have goals and you really say, I want to put on this amount of muscle, I want to grow my arms, I want to do this, I want to do X, Y, Z, you need to go in there and push with max intensity while also maintaining your form. That's where acclimating yourself with an exercise first and then using warm-up sets to prime yourself are two of the key important concepts that fit into that, and then blasting yourself with max intensity. And I would say, as we've kind of touched on in previous lectures, that having a bit of an extended rest time goes well with pushing to failure. If you push to failure and you only rest 30, 60 seconds, you're not letting yourself fully recover. You're not going to get the most out of the next set. So extended rest times paired with maximum intensity, I've found to be the most effective cocktail for growing your arms. So that's a wrap with training intensity. I hope that you learned a little something today in today's lecture. Catch you in the next one.